guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Canon and I post a new video every single week on my YouTube, on my blog, and sometimes on my social media. So follow me here, subscribe please, on my blog and on my Insta, Twitter, everything. I will leave all the links in the description box for you to do that. And thank you for clicking on this video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Yes, I really appreciate it. Okay, so today we are baking again. We baked last week, we're baking again because I got a really nice response on last week's video. Last week we did a moist carrot cake and about 10 people have already recreated that recipe. So I asked on my Instagram whether you guys would be interested in more baking videos, and you guys said yes, and the most suggested one was a chocolate cake. So today I'm going to show you how to make a basic chocolate cake. And basic does not mean it's not yummy. It's just when you have this recipe on your fingertips, you can turn it into any chocolate cake you want, mint, orange, etc. So it's nice to have this recipe like on your fingertips. And on top of that, I'm also going to be showing you guys how to make peanut butter buttercream. Peanut butter buttercream. That was such a mouthful, but yes. Let's get into the ingredients and then we mix up, throw it in the oven, and then I'll show you guys how to make the buttercream and then we'll be fine. First thing we're going to be using is margarine. If you don't have margarine, you can use butter. And then we're also going to be using sugar. This is about half a cup of sugar. We're also going to be using 2 large eggs, fairly large eggs, some milk. For the dry ingredients, we have some cocoa, not drinking chocolate, some cocoa powder, and we have our self-raising flour. If you don't have self-raising flour kama kawaida, you can use all-purpose flour with baking powder. So a few things before we get into this. Number 1, we're using cocoa powder, not drinking chocolate. Drinking chocolate is a sweet one, the one you use for tea. This one is the one that's not sweet. It's more concentrated, yes, so it will make a great chocolate cake. If you use drinking chocolate, you will not get the same results, please. Number 2, always preheat your oven. I know, as in, I have said this a couple of times, but I've been getting a few people asking, my cake is not rising evenly, sijui nini nini. The problem is probably because you didn't preheat. Number 3, when you're baking, before you start baking, always make sure you have all your ingredients ready, because there's a thing about baking that I have made a mistake a couple of times, forgetting an ingredient. There was a time I was baking early in the morning at like 5 a.m. and I forgot eggs and I had to repeat. So just prepare all your ingredients in advance so that when you start baking, nihivyo. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is measure half a cup of margarine. And then to this margarine, I'm using Blueband, by the way. We'll be adding our sugar. So our first step is to mix together the wet ingredients. So my process is I usually mix my wet ingredients, my dry ingredients, and then I bring both together. So we are starting with the sugar and the butter, and we are going to cream this until they mix together. I will be using my hand mixer today. If you don't have a hand mixer, you can always use your whisk. So let's just cream this. After we've mixed together the margarine and the sugar, we're going to add in our eggs one by one. So break in your first egg, mix together. You can see that's enough. We just want it to be slightly incorporated, and then we'll add in our other egg. Once we have mixed everything together, just slightly, I have swapped out the mixer with what's this called? I don't know, but you can use a Mwiko. For a minute I've forgotten what this is called. This is to prevent over mixing. So instead of using the mixer at this point, I like to swap it out with a spatula. So I'll just mix this together, and you know guys, we are basically done. All I need to do is to grease the pan, put this in, throw it in the oven. This is the pan I'll be using, a round pan, and spray kama kawaida. It's to help the cake not stick. You can also use parchment paper, and if you don't have this spray, you can always take your margarine or some vegetable oil, just kidogo on your fingers, and apply around the pan just to prevent the cake from sticking. I have received a few questions about this. I got this one from Chandarana. I've also seen it in Carrefour, basically in most supermarkets, and I made this investment because I bake a lot and I hate the whole process of using my fingers. So after I have evenly coated this, then it's time to add my cake batter into the pan. In the oven, I want to go through one last step. So this one is a personal preference kind of thing. Personally, I don't like crusted cake, as in like when the top of the cake gets too brown. I don't like that, especially when I am baking to frost. Like let's say a client wants a cake, I don't like when it crusts too much because it really annoys me when I'm icing it. So what I like to do, and if you're the same way and you don't like that crusted part of a cake, what I like to do is just cover the top of the cake with a bit of foil, and I also feel like this helps in making the cake bake evenly. And then I'll throw this in the oven 180 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes. Kama kawaida, I always leave the written recipe in my description box. When the blog usome uone all the specific temperatures and measurements of all the ingredients. Here we have some butter, not margarine, some butter which I have brought to room temperature. I'll talk about that in a second. And then I have about half a cup of icing sugar. This one also depends on how much of a sweet tooth you are, so you can use less or you can use more. I'm going to be using about 2 tablespoons of vanilla essence, and of course, because this is peanut butter buttercream, I'm going to be using some Blueband peanut butter. As our cake cools, we're going to be making the buttercream. So first of all, I'm using butter, not margarine, unsalted butter. So what you do to the butter is you let it come to room temperature. Don't use it straight out of the fridge. Sorry. So if maybe you're baking tomorrow, leave it on the counter overnight so that it can come to room temp, or for a couple of hours. If your butter is too cold, then the cream will break. It will look very lumpy. And if your butter is too hot, yani if you decide I did not leave it to come to room temp, so let me microwave it, then your butter will be watery. So room temperature. And then I am going to add in my icing sugar, 2 tablespoons of vanilla essence, and then finally I will be adding our Blueband peanut butter. I love it because it's so smooth and creamy, so it will not be lumpy. So I'm going to be adding about 3 tablespoons of this. This also depends on how much you like peanut butter. So if you like the taste of peanut butter more, add more peanut butter. You can go up to 5 tablespoons. And if you don't have a mixer, as usual, you can always use your whisk, but you do need some grease. So let's just mix this until it's nice, soft and creamy. So this is the consistency we are going for. See how it drops? very nice, smooth and creamy, almost I want to say silky. So this is the consistency you're looking for. If you have noticed, the color of the buttercream is now lighter. It's not as brown or as yellow as butter before we started whipping, and that's how you know like your buttercream is getting there, when it gets lighter in color. Also, when you feel like your butter is too hard to whip, maybe because you use a lot of icing sugar, what you can do is add about a tablespoon or 2 of milk. But most of the time I don't usually, unless I'm working with big amounts of butter and icing sugar, that's when I usually need to add some milk. But basically that's it. So we're going to set this aside as we wait for our cake to cool completely, because you know, if you use this on warm cake, it will just melt, because butter melts easily. I'm not really doing much like a design or anything. I just want, I'm just applying a simple layer of buttercream. On my next videos, I'll be showing you guys how to completely frost a cake. But I have vanilla sponge cake with raspberry buttercream recipe here on YouTube, where I show you guys how to decorate a cake from start to finish. So I will link that up here and in the description box for you guys to watch. So for now, I'm just doing this simply. So I want you guys to see the inside. So moist and dark. I love it. Imagine guys, we've come to the end of the video. How easy was that? So today we've learned how to do 2.5 things: how to bake a chocolate cake, how to make peanut butter buttercream, and how to like decorate with 2 chocolate swirls. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've gotten to this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share with someone who would like to learn how to make cake, because if they learn how to make cake, then they'll be making cake. Anyway, if you do try this recipe, please let me know on my social media, either on Twitter, Instagram, or on Facebook. I will leave my handles in the description box. I hope you guys have a lovely week. Lovely weekend, and I hope to see you guys next week. Bye.